Always have a garment such as a gown or t-shirt on under the orthosis with as few wrinkles as possible. No bare skin should come in contact with the orthosis. This will help to protect the skin as well as keep the orthosis clean. 2 people are required for donning the CTLSO, one to don the orthosis, the other to assist with log rolling. If the patient is wearing a cervical collar, leave it on at this time. Start by helping the patient perform a partial roll to tuck the gown behind them. Then have the patient return to supine. Now perform a full log roll in the opposite direction. Locate the waist grooves on the CTLSO. Adjust the gown so it is smooth and covering the back. Grab the exposed gown and firmly pull up. Push the posterior shell under the patient so the waist groove lines up just proximal to the iliac crest. Make sure the posterior cervical portion is centered behind their head so it cups the distal occiput and has the Velcro straps just distal to the ears. Hold the posterior shell under the patient as they roll to supine. Roll the patient in the opposite direction. Grab the posterior shell and pull until it is centered on the patient. Return the patient to supine. Start by helping the patient perform a partial roll to tuck the gown behind them. Now have the patient roll to the other side. Tuck the abdominal binder under their low back and hip. Roll the patient once again. Pull the abdominal binder to center it. Return the patient to supine. Binder low around their hips, encompassing all their tissue, and pull tight before securing the Velcro. Roll the patient once again. Push the posterior shell under the patient so the waist groove lines up just proximal to the iliac crest. Make sure the posterior cervical portion is cupping the occiput with the Velcro straps just distal to the ears. Hold the posterior shell under the patient as they roll onto their back. Roll the patient in the opposite direction. Grab the posterior shell and pull until it is centered on the patient. Return the patient to supine. Now that the patient is on their back, you can remove the cervical collar, making sure to stabilize the cervical spine until the anterior panel is secured. Scoop the anterior cervical section under the chin. Place the anterior shell so that it fits over the posterior shell. Start by looping all 6 Velcro straps through the chafes. Do not make them tight yet. Next, grab both the bottom straps and pull them tight using equal force and Velcro to secure. Then do the same with the middle straps, and lastly, the top straps. Now, one by one, pull on the straps to get them as tight as possible. Attach both the Velcro straps from the posterior cervical portion to the chin support. Attach both shoulder straps from the posterior shell to the anterior shell. Now your patient is ready to sit up using proper spinal precautions. The patient's chin should be resting on the chin support. If their neck looks extended, make sure the CTLSO is on appropriately low and tight. Also make sure the edge of the bed is not pushing the patient into kyphosis. If this is happening, then the CTLSO will need to be re-donned in a chair with arms. Two people are required for doffing the CTLSO, one to doff the orthosis, the other to assist with log rolling. Start by laying the patient supine and stabilize the cervical spine. Unvelcro all 6 straps. Make sure to fold the Velcro back on itself so it does not get tangled. Remove the anterior shell. Now don the cervical collar. Lift up on the head slightly. Push the posterior panel between the patient's head and the CTLSO. Next, scoop the anterior cervical collar under the patient's chin. Attach the anterior and posterior collar panels together, making sure to wrap the anterior panel around the patient's neck for a secure fit. If the patient is wearing an abdominal binder, undo the Velcro while they are supine. Log roll the patient fully onto their side. Remove the posterior CTLSO. If they are wearing an abdominal binder, also remove it at this time. Once the CTLSO is fully removed, have the patient return to supine.